If this lawsuit against Richard Hart is true and not some kind of wind-up, this has got to be one of the most farcical lawsuits that I've seen in a while. Basically, it seems to be that someone is suing Richard Hart because Hex price went down. Yes, price went down. This happens in crypto. It goes up as well. So let's take a look at more of the details. This is HEXCadet who's posted this. Big up to HEXCadet. And this seems to be the crux of the case. On September 24th, 2021, plaintiff John Doe purchased approximately 3,675 HEX tokens from defendant Schuler's investment smart contract in exchange for 0.56 units of Ether. On the date of his investment in the HEX investment contract, plaintiff John Doe's 365 HEX tokens traded on unregistered online exchanges for approximately 47 cents. You bought the top, my man, you bought the top per token. As of the date of this complaint, the HEX token price has now collapsed to approximately 3 cents US dollars per token, resulting in a 93.7% loss to plaintiff John Doe's investment. Right, so now HEXCadet goes into a bit of detail. We'll go from the start. He's put together this thread, and it goes through all the details in 16 points that he's made, and we'll take a look at that. Dear Hexicans, I've been seeing some FUD and misinformation about RH case and Hex. Since we pride ourselves on being accurate and through with our research and communications, here's the thread to get you up to speed. Strap in, here we go. Right. Yes, this is a real civil suit filed in South Carolina. Here is the case information. State of South Carolina, County of Florence, John Doe, pseudonymous owner of HEX ERC20 tokens on behalf of himself or herself and all other particular situated. Plaintiff class versus Richard James Schuler, aka Richard Hart. Okay, so that's the case. Here is the judge, Robert E. Hood. The case is a class action against Richard Hart as an individual. The lead plaintiff is unnamed, John Doe, who with 0.587 ETH at 1.8k US has and reported purportedly purchased 3,675 HEX from RH's smart contract on September 21, where it was trading at 41 cents. Okay, that's the info we just saw. Keen eyes here might note that buying HEX from RH's smart contract is of course an impossibility because you can't purchase HEX from the smart contract. The adoption amplifier ended on day 353 or November 19th, 2020, so we're off to some incorrect statements already. Plaintiff is using a pseudonym due to the aggressive and threatening actions of others towards those who have criticized the HEX investment scheme and RH, and will reveal his identity when court-ordered protections are instituted. Right. The parties and jurisdictions. Plaintiff John Doe, pseudonymous owner of HEX ERC20, is a citizen and resident of USA and the state of South Carolina. The plaintiff is pleading a pseudonymous identity due to the aggressive and threatening actions of others towards who have criticized HEX and the defendant in the past. Right, okay, we just saw that bit. Plaintiff sees the determination the HEX is a security. Right, so that's interesting. He's trying to get it classified. So this case may have some important repercussions for the future if it goes probably, which it will go in our favour. The complaint, of course, omits all the true amazing reasons why it's not a security. Hexicans know that how we test backwards and forwards, and I'll save those arguments for another thread. Yeah, that's right. So Richard's been very careful in creating HEX to make sure that it is not a security. Like point 7. Well, Howie is critical because the alleged legal violations here turn on whether or not HEX is a security. HEX no security, Richard no bad guy. Right, so saying that. Interestingly, this means that a decision to the point by the judge may have a ripple effects on whether other exchanges or institutions deem HEX to be or not to be a security. This would require a ruling though, and probably an appeal which could take years. But in most cases, actions settle long before a ruling has happened, or maybe that's unlikely. Will RH settle? Has he even been served? Some interesting facts on that. Plaintiffs did a bunch of background searching on RH and his family. Due to RH's unknown whereabouts, the court granted service on RH using 5 electronic means. So Twitter mention, Twitter direct message, email, Telegram group, and chat, Telegram direct message. So this is the text basically saying that you don't have to deliver this in person. You can do it by other means. We won't go through that. That's there. What kind of legal precedent did plaintiffs use to serve RH in such a clever way? Why, on the other hand, is than the amazing creativity brought by Hexicans themselves? Plaintiff must have chuckled at this one. Yeah, I'm sure Richard is having a good laugh at this. For, what was it, 1.8k? Reported billionaires being sued for 1.8k. I'm sure he couldn't care less. So, but apart from the ruling on the whether it's a security or not is quite important. So apart from that, the size of the case is not important at all. So let's take a second to kill some FUD. FUD number 1, Richard Hart is going to jail. No, not from this. This is a civil suit in South Carolina. Okay. Yeah, so it's not criminal, it's a civil. FUD, this is terrible for Hex. Is it? Most of the cases turns on Hex being a security. And man, there is a lot of very compelling arguments that Hex is not a security. In fact, one possible outcome is Richard fights this and wins and merits and gets court to agree. Yeah, it could be actually a really good case if he does win this and set a precedent that Hex is definitely not a security. That could forever enshrine Hex as not being deemed to not be a security by the court. Imagine this future. Hey Coinbase, this has been litigated and settled. Hex isn't a security. Here's the judge's opinion. What's next? Well, if you bought Hex and you are part of the putative case in this judgment, should that be punitive? John Doe is the lead, and the class must be certified in order to be a full class action. This takes a while and often settles or ends even before then. A putative class action is a lawsuit brought by one or more named plaintiffs on behalf of a potential group of similar individuals known as a class, who allegedly suffered a common injury. Attorneys are seeking damages for the group rather than a single plaintiff. What is a class action lawsuit? A class action lawsuit is a court case involving a group of people who file a lawsuit against a single defendant. Okay, so that's if more than one join this guy. But if there is no response from RH, it could go to a default judgment and then good luck to trying to collect. RH could fight it, ignore, settle, who knows, but in the meantime we can monitor and see what happens. There's a lot more here than I left off, but 16 threads seems enough for now. Cheers from Hex Cadet. Yeah, cheers to Hex Cadet for this. This is interesting, so we'll keep an eye on that. But in terms of the cash, Richard's not going to be bothered at all about this. Might be having a laugh, but it might have some repercussions for whether it's a security, and we'll keep an eye on this.